Hi guys, thanks for tuning into my channel, and I hope this tutorial helps you in creating a fitted nappy with a fold down rise using the My Little Sunshines pattern. Okay, so I've got my pattern, a ruler and a pen. Now you can use a pencil, it's entirely up to you. What I'm going to do is be measuring 0.7 centimeters from this line on the pattern. Now if you've got your pattern laid out the way I have it, it will be 0.7 centimeters from the center snap marking on the pattern. So here I am just measuring out that 0.7 centimeters and marking. Now you will then measure 2 centimeters up from that marking that you've just made, so that the distance between your two dots is 2 centimeters. Now what I'm doing here is, what will happen is when you put all your dots all the way across each snap, you can then use a ruler mat like I am here, and you can put a line all the way through. This will just help you center your snaps with each line, and it just makes this process a little bit quicker. Okay, now here I'm just showing that each square on my mat is equal to 1 centimeter, so that is 2 centimeters difference. And I'm just putting a line through the top snaps as well, just to get that intersection on each line. Okay, then what will happen is you will need to go through and put a hole in every line here. That's where you're going to be putting your snap. So in each little section that you've got a dot there, that's where your snap holes will be going, and you just need to go through and hold the rest of your markings and elastics. So let's move on to fabric. Now for my outer layer, so the pretty side, I have chosen cotton lycra. You can use any fabric choice such as cotton, even an old t-shirt, tea towel, muslin flats. They work fantastic to make into fitteds. So you can make it as pretty or as basic as you like. It's entirely up to you. I will put a link in description of some fabric stores within Australia that you're able to buy beautiful fabric from. So I've chosen bamboo fleece as my inner layer, so I'll be doing 1 layer of bamboo fleece. It's soft, it's absorbent, it's 500 GSM, but you can use cotton, hemp cotton, bamboo cotton, any type of absorbent material for your hidden layer. It will work perfectly fine. So for my inner material, so the material that will be touching baby's bum, I've chosen micro fleece, though there are other options such as suedecloth or athletic wicking jersey, even bamboo velour. They all work as stay dry layers, though velour may not be as stay dry as the others. So I've gone and cut out my cotton lycra, my bamboo fleece and my micro fleece layers. Now I've cut these out on the fabric line as per the pattern, and I will be basting my cotton lycra to my bamboo fleece to make 1 layer. Now you can use fabric glue, you can also use safety pins. It's entirely up to you which method you like to do. Alternatively, you may not wish to do any of it, and that's totally fine as well. So I'm just going to speed up this process in relation to me basting this together for you. Okay, so now we've got our basted layers together here. So moving forward, we use and treat this as one piece, and we're going to go ahead and add snap. Okay, so we're at my snap press, and I have my female snaps, and I also have the prong for the snaps, and I'll be using an awl in order to poke holes through my fabric. So I'm just going to find my snap placement and poke a hole through that. I am only doing the bottom row of the snaps. We are not doing the top just yet. That will come later. So I'm going from back to front. So this layer of, this row of snaps will actually be hidden when we put our inner material on. And pushing that down. So I'm just going to fast forward through the rest of the line. Okay, so now that we've done the snaps, I will be going through and I will be clipping my inner piece and my outer piece together, so they will be right sides facing out. And I'll fast forward through that and I'll come back to you. Okay, so now that we've clipped our two pieces together, so we've got our outer fabric, so the pretty side facing up, and then we have our inner material, so the material facing bub is also right sides out, which means wrong sides are together. So what will be happening is on the clip that I have here on my left of the screen, I will be starting my overlocking and I'll be going all the way around till I get to this clip here on the right, and I'll be keeping the front of the nappy open so that I can get my hand in there to do the elastics. Okay, so we're over at my overlocker now and we are starting just before the curve. So you can see here that I'm showing the curve, but I'm actually putting my foot just before the curve. And I'm going around, and because I didn't draw a sew line, which obviously it's up to you whether or not you want to do that, it does make it a bit easier. I'm just using the edge of my fabric because I cut it out as per the pattern. I didn't actually cut it out with a sew line on it. I'm just going around and using that as my guide. Now, I wouldn't recommend this way for beginners, though if you are a competent sewer or if you have made fitteds before, this way is definitely quicker if you're cutting out in bulk. So with your wings, you just want to make sure that you're pushing your fabric into the knife. So you're always aiming your knife on your sew line or where you would like your overlocking to fall. Now, you never want to pull your fabric with a serger or overlocker. An overlocker will only cut straight, so you just need to make sure that your fabric is going in straight as well. You also want to make sure that you're catching all three layers with your knife. Sometimes the layers slip around, especially if you're using a cotton lycra or a jersey type material. However, it's good to just take your time, go slow, check just to make sure that all your layers are being caught in the knife, because it does make a smooth finish. Now, you can see here that with your cotton lycra, depending on your presser foot level, it may bunch up a bit. I just move my foot up and down just to make sure that I can make that nice and even and smooth. Now, going around a curve again, and I'm going to finish my overlocking just past the corner there where that clip is, and I'll come off diagonally. And I'm just cutting my threads here, so you can use clippers, and these are my wings, so I'm just showing you the curves, making sure the overlocking has been caught in all three layers. And underneath, this is probably the side that you'll see the most if your layers do slip. And there's the opening, so that opening is very important for the elastics later on. So we'll take this over to my sewing machine to do elastics. Okay, so we're over at my machine, so we're going to do a casing all the way down the leg. Now, this is a casing method, so what you'll see here is I'm lining up my presser foot with the bottom edge of my overlocking stitches there, and that's the guide I'm going to use. I pop my needle all the way to the left, and let's make, using just a simple straight stitch, forwards and backwards, locking that stitch. We're just going to sew all the way down the channel there, down the leg, all the way from our first elastic point all the way down to our next elastic point. And I'm just making sure that the fabric's feeding evenly through my sewing machine, making sure everything's laying nice and flat, no wrinkling or buckling of the fabric, backwards and forwards to secure our stitches, and then we will cut our threads. Okay, so what I've done here is I've sewn my channels. I'm just showing you there, my casing. Okay, now what I'm doing is getting my bobbin and I'm attaching my elastic to the bobbin. I don't pre-cut my elastic, though the pattern does have lengths laid out for elastic. And I'm just going to go through and thread that through the casing to the other end, so the end closer to the back of the nappy. Then once I've pulled the elastic all the way through the casing, I'm going to tack it down. I normally leave about 1/2 centimetre elastic in order to tack it down, and I go back and forwards 4 times. So forwards twice, backwards twice. So back, forth, back, forth. Then I will cut my threads. Now you can cut your threads at the end. I just prefer to do it as I go. And I'm going to pull the elastic. Now I pull it and then I hold it past the elastic point because I'm going to sew down on that mark. I don't want my fingers in the way. And I keep pulling until I find the right amount of bounce. So I need to still be able to pull the elastic taut and flat, and I still want it to be rippled enough that when it's not being pulled on, it's still got that nice ruffle effect. So I'm just going to go down and tack down the ends, and I'm just going to fast forward through the next section of me doing the second side. Okay, now the hardest bit is getting your elastics to match here. So what I'm doing here is I'm showing you how I do that. So you can see me pulling to get that nice elastic ruffle, and I'm matching it up to my other leg. So I pull them together and I keep pulling the tension until I find it matching. So see how they go flat, and I look at them on the inside and they look even. And once I found a happy tension and they both look even, I then go ahead and I finish tacking down that second leg elastic. So you can see there I'm always holding the tension until I've tacked it down. Now I'm just going to go through and do the back elastic in a similar fashion. The back elastic I don't obviously have to match up to anything, and I do like that just a little bit tighter as well. So I'm just going to fast forward this bit for you. Okay, so we're back at my overlocker, and we are now going to close the front of the nappy. So I like to start about 1.5 centimeters before I came off on my overlocking the first time, and I end about 1 centimeter after as well. So you can see there I've got a little bit of a lip. I'm just going to cut that straight off, and like so, and go so straight. And I'm just going to go past my stitches by about 1 centimeter, and then I'm going to run off nicely, and I'll show you how that comes off. So I'm just run off the back there, cut my threads, and then you can see there. So I've got one tail on one end and one on the other, and we'll thread those through. Okay, so we've got a tail here, and you can see where I've run off there. I've just tried to get a bit of a close-up. I use a loop turner. The loop turner is available from Spotlight if you're in Australia, though you can get them from some sewing stores. So what I do is I insert the turner in between my layers. I use the hook and I grab my tail and I pull it through. Now this buries the tail in between the layers, and all you do is just then snip the ends, and you do that to both sides. Okay, so I'm going to now do my top row of snaps. So you go from the outer layer in, and you will be placing the prong from the pretty side to the inner side. So it'll be the opposite to what we did previously. And still using female snap, we'll use our die set and we'll press that in, and I'll fast forward the rest. Okay, so our last row of snaps are done, so now it's just to do the wing snaps. The pattern actually has a little template that you can use for wing snaps. I just prefer to use by feel, so I just find and I pretend to snap it, find that where I would place a snap, pop a hole in with my awl, and that's how I go about doing all of my wing snaps. So you end up with 4 male snaps and 2 female. Okay, so I'm just adding inserts. I can do another video on inserts later if you like, but we are basically finished. We have now made a beautiful fold down rise fitted using the My Little Sunshines pattern, and I just cannot wait to see all your creations because I absolutely love seeing them. Thanks, guys.